Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Last time we were dealing with Bastila's side quest, and now we're going to take care of the Sand People. I want to know what you have available for sale. Do you have any moisture evaporators? I want to exchange them with the Sand People to stop their attacks. Alrighty, can you be persuaded to lower the price? It's always worth a shot. Yeah. It's Circa's cost, not yours. Who cares? And I have to leave anyway. Alright, I'll take them. Yay! Okay, and I have some stabs to give you.
Greetings again from the offices of Zerga Corporation.
I have gaffy sticks to return.
I see that, but do you have the all-important Chieftain's gaff?
Just the regular ones for now.
Then I'll take those off your hands. But the real prize...
I'm done.
Farewell.
I got almost 1,000 credits. Kind of awesome. And I could probably go into the hunting office. I'll do that later, though. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to the Sand People, and I'm gonna cut out my walking, because that's gonna take a while. Okay, let's see if the Sand People welcome us back in. Hi.
Extrapolation. This guard doesn't appear honored to have the job of greeting us.
Tell him we have the moisture converters.
Translation. Translation. He will take us before the chieftain, as he was instructed to do.
Awesome. Oh, the Sand People really don't like outsiders, do they? Can't really blame them, I guess. If you can read anything of the chieftain's emotions, it seems he is surprised that you've returned.
Translation. He did not expect us to return, Master. He wonders if we have brought the moisture evaporators.
Tell him that we have them.
Translation. Translation. He does not trust you, Master, but you have done more than any other outsider. They will not attack, and he grants you his chieftain's gaffy as reward. Translation. The attacks will be reduced, and he will allow you to explore this enclave, but be warned that any lack of respect will result in death.
I do have a few questions, if that's okay, and he will allow that.
Protocol. If you truly want this sadly peaceful arrangement to continue, be careful of what you ask.
Thank you. Captives?
Clarification. We must be more specific, Master. They capture many organics.
I'm looking for a Twi'lek by the name of Griff.
Translation. Translation. He says that by his very presence, this Griff defiles their home and land. He is without any semblance of usefulness to them. Extrapolation. I would assume we are free to take him. It is doubtful they will even waste the effort to kill him. Perhaps we could do it, Master.
I think asking about their culture gets them mad, but I'll try it.
Protocol. We should not keep him long. It is an insult to take too much of his time. Unless the plan is to blast him when you are done, of course.
Yeah, let's try culture.
Protocol. This will be a very sensitive topic, Master. You will want to be careful with your questions or risk offending him. Not that that is much of a worry.
Why are they so sensitive to... how about history? Is that okay?
Translation. Translation. He says that he will not, Master. There is one storyteller in each clan, and only he may recite the histories.
Okay, well that's good. Can we meet the storyteller?
Translation. Translation. He says that you don't understand. They must never be told to someone who might say them incorrectly out of ignorance. Translation. To speak them in error is a blasphemy punishable by death. Only their greatest warriors are even permitted to listen to the tales.
Wow. I killed a Kyrak dragon. Does that prove my worth? Yeah, let's try that.
Translation. Translation. He won't believe you until he sees a dragon pearl as proof. I should kill him for not taking you at your word, Master.
It's fine. Here's the dragon pearl. I picked it up.
Translation. Translation. He is stupefied, Master. He never thought you could return with such an item. Such a thing has not been done in many years. Translation. He will allow you to meet the storyteller, but also gives a warning. If you dare to repeat the histories incorrectly, you will be killed. Translation. The storyteller will be summoned to one of the rooms here in the Enclave. He seems to think this is a great honor for you, Master.
Well, I am interested. Why are they so hostile to outsiders? Although I imagine I know the answer to this already.
Translation. Translation. He says that the fact that you have to ask, this is just one more example of your ignorance as an outsider, Master. He says you are blind. Translation. His people believe they are part of the land, living with it. You and your kind dare to raise yourself above it. You remove yourself. Translation. That act of removal makes you an outsider, separate from all that is important. You could never understand how unwelcome you are.
I understand. What do you mean, raise myself above the land?
Translation. Translation. He says that outsiders use machines to convey them and to make their lives easier. This severs a connection with the land. Translation. Connection to the soil must be made through flesh. A sacred animal is the only external tool to be used.
Ask why he bargained for the vibrators when they're... Yeah, vaporators when they're unnatural. How does he have contact with the land while completely covered? Is this okay?
Translation. Translation. He says that the robes are sacred, Master, and you would not understand. Sand people are never uncovered outside of the most private moments.
Yeah, I am curious as to why he would want the Vapor Raiders.
Translation. Translation. He says that the use of these blasphemous things will only be tolerated because outsider interference has forced it upon them. Translation. If your kind had not come here, he would not have to defend their ways or their land.
Alright, I'm gonna leave you alone. Thank you.
Translation. Translation. We are free to leave.
Ooh, can I search it? will you get mad at me? I do not know. I will save the game in case I upset him, which I don't want to do. This will probably upset him.
On it. Done.
Yep, that upset him. Did not like that. Okay, let's reload the game. Oh, it's the storyteller right outside. Oh, I'm sorry. Who's behind you? Won't even tell me. Okay. Why do I not have his dialogue? I'm honored. Ask him what he records. What is up with that? Try it again.
Translation. The storyteller waits for your questions, Master.
Return.
Translation.
This was weird. Let me load it again. Because it just seems to be the first dialogue I try, so... Okay, so let me try talking to Chieftain.
Query. What do you wish to ask? Agreement. My thoughts exactly,
That was not what I meant. Damn it. I keep messing this up. Load. I was just trying to click through the dialogue. Damn. Okay. Calling for wow. So that was the weird glitchy thing. Storyteller.
Translation. He identifies himself as the storyteller, Master. He has been told of your warrior skills and will speak the history to you.
I am honored. Ask him what he records.
Translation. Translation. There is only one accepted history, passed orally to each successive generation. Translation. A book or datapad can be taken away, cheapening the value of what it contains. To commit it to paper or storage is to remove it from the people.
Oral histories are often inaccurate.
Translation. Translation. He says that you dare not question the accuracy of his information. The stories are learned perfectly by each successive storyteller. Translation. In fact, they aren't allowed to speak the stories aloud unless they are exact. Any error is considered a blasphemy punishable by death. Criticism. It seems inefficient to me, Master. A score of apprentice storytellers would be slaughtered each generation. What if the elder died before completing the teachings?
Good question. Ask him that. I am curious, though. I don't, well...
Translation. Translation. Apprentices are trained from birth. Very few speak the words in error. Storytellers are most often lost in battle between tribes. Translation. Any tribe that loses its storyteller is obviously unworthy of existing. They lose their connection to history and destroy themselves with infighting soon after.
Huh. What topics can I ask about?
Translation. Translation. You may choose to hear the history, or you may choose not to. Their history is a single entity that cannot be partitioned. Translation: the only exception is in continuing the tales once they have begun. If you leave, when you return, he will continue from where he left off.
Okay. I'm really curious.
Translation: Translation: it begins with the ancient times. They were not sand people, for there was no sand. The land was green with life, and they walked without wrappings. Translation: though the land was beautiful, they lived apart from the land. They built their walls high and saw beyond the horizon. They dared to reach the stars. Translation: there are no words for how long ago this was. It was before the outsiders, before the abduction, before the cities fell, before the builders.
What? Hold on a second. I have a question.
Cautionary: I should warn you, Master, that any questioning of their interpretation may be seen as trying to change the meaning of what was said. Clarification: they may consider this to be speaking the words in error, a blasphemy they would attempt to kill you for.
I want to ask a question.
Clarification: it would appear that they once had a thriving technologically advanced society, but were wiped out by a much more sophisticated alien species.
Can't say how long ago it was. Ask him what these builders were like.
Translation: Translation: he only understands the builders as an iconic force meant to test the resolve of his people. He is not making sense, Master. Clarification: they claim their stories are repeated unchanged, but they have demonized these builders. In their minds, they wreaked such havoc they could not possibly be flesh and blood.
Is there anything in galactic record that would verify this? Don't ask him that question, though.
Negative. I am no library, but since there is no Republic record of this planet having sentient life before Zerka colonization, I doubt you will find such evidence.
Okay.
Cautionary.
Right, I want you to
Obedient.
continue the story.
Translation: Translation: his arrogant people touched the stars, and this sin drew the attention of the builders. The builders did not touch the stars, they lashed them to millstones. Translation: great demons of metal stripped the world of its riches, until all that was left was the green of the ground. The great cities were lifted away. Translation: those that had used the wealth were taken along with it. Transgressors abducted to serve past the sky, seeding the stars with penitent, adaptable slaves.
Okay, so let's see what questions I can ask.
Cautionary.
I want to ask about the time of enslavement.
Clarification: I believe they were occupied by this technologically superior species for a substantial period. Stripping an entire planet of usable resources would have taken generations.
Why would invaders have done this?
Obvious. The same reason Zerka Corporation is attempting it now. Expanding empires need tremendous amounts of resources.
And how many people were taken off-world?
Translation: Translation: he has no number. He claims that those that were taken were examples of the worst of his kind, arrogant and uncaring of the land. Doubtful. Master, this is just another distortion due to their demonization of the builders. It's like claiming an aspect of his people were taken, not actual individuals. Clearly, history has colored his view. Of course, only the inferior meatbags were taken. The remaining were his ancestors, after all. It must have been special.
Suggest he rethink it. I don't think so. Let's go back.
Obedient.
Continue.
Translation. Translation. There came a time when the builders were also judged for their crimes. After generations, a plague weakened them, and the time of the Great War began. Translation. The builders faltered, and his people realized why they had been punished, so that they understood the crime, and would now strike down the greater offender. Translation. They worked chaos in the machines, so they destroyed themselves. The builders fought back, laying waste to the green that had been misused with fire from above. Translation. Soil became glass, grinding to sand, but the fight was long planned, and his people were safe. Deep in cave homes carved from valley wall, they were free.
Questions?
Caution.
Yeah, I know. I want to ask about the war.
Clarification. The occupying force suffered some sort of species-wide plague that lowered their numbers over time. His people used this extended weakness to sabotage their larger ships. The response of the builders appears to have been to lay waste to the entire surface of Tatooine.
I'm out of time, but I will continue asking about this fascinating history next time. Thanks for watching.